Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. Jennifer is also joining us. We'll wait a few minutes for the other participant, and we'll start in 2-3 minutes. I think we can start if Jennifer and Lina, you're okay.
Yep.
So thank you, everyone, to be here. So it's a Friday, 7 p.m. for Morocco. But it's not 7 p.m. for Jennifer and Lina, who are based in the west coast of America. And first, I will let them present themselves briefly, and then also I will present a little bit what we do with Web4Jobs, with the JobInTech, and then we can start this webinar with conversations. And feel free, if you have questions, you can write the questions and the Q&R, and we'll try to reply to the questions. So the idea of this webinar is really to share that being Moroccan and studying IT can be done everywhere in the world, and with experience, with people with the experience in America, and particularly in the Silicon Valley and in the east and west coast of America. And the objective is to give you this the way to let you dream and to say, okay, everything is possible. You can do it also. And by sharing today Lina experience, it can be also something that you can do. Not necessarily in the beginning to move to America from the beginning, but by learning the Silicon Valley standards, you have the possibility to be ready to go for this this venture. So thank you again, Lina and Jennifer, and I will let you, Lina, first present yourself and give us what time is it at your home.
So it's 10 a.m. here. We're just starting our day. Like you're very close to the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So hi everyone, I'm really glad to be here. My name is Lina, and I today work as a software engineer at General Motors. I started my career in Morocco in a completely different domain. I was actually in finance. I spent a couple of years in Ifran. Then I worked as an equity research analyst at BMC Capital. For those who don't know, equity research is a field where we analyze companies' financial statements, and then we decide what the target price is based on the company performance mixed with analyzing the company strategy. Then I noticed when I was in finance, I was having like these big newspapers during earnings, and I needed to take a drawer, and I needed to go through every line, and I needed to write the different numbers in order to fill them out in an Excel spreadsheet. And I remember how painful that process was, and the fact that you can just miss one number can completely flaw your forecasts. And I started imagining ways in which I can make this quicker. And it's like a seed in my heart was created where I said, okay, I need to do something that makes this process quicker, and that allows me to work in things that have an impact instead of just doing these rudimentary tasks. And so I was still in Morocco, and I decided that I wanted to learn software engineering. I didn't have the tools to do it when I was still there, but I knew I was going to move to the United States, and that was going to give me a pause in my career where I can explore other things instead of just staying in finance. So once I moved to the United States, a friend of mine talked about boot camps. And it was something that was really dynamic in the Bay Area at the moment, during that moment. And so I started exploring which boot camps were in San Francisco, and I found a really good one that was ranked first during that time. And I really liked what it was offering. It was saying, okay, you can go and study for free with us. And then once you get an offer, then we're going to go ahead and start paying us back month by month the tuition that was being offered, that's cost that bootcamp. And I really like this strategy because usually when we go to universities, either in Morocco or somewhere else, you pay upfront. You don't really know what to expect except some reviews and referrals. And then after a couple of years, then you decide to go ahead and start looking for jobs, mainly by yourself. And also the traditional systems are a lot of theory. And I didn't want to spend a lot of years just studying things that will not be helpful in the job markets. And so that's why I decided to do that bootcamp, and that's how I am today a software engineer. I'm not going to go into the details between the bootcamp and now. Maybe we can explore that later, but I'm going to pause for now and let Jennifer present herself as well.
Thank you, Lina, for this quick intro about you. Maybe one question. How many years now you're living in USA? 7
years.
7 years. Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay. And we have also with us Jennifer. So Jennifer is a co-founder of Quasar. This is the platform that you are currently using now. And she's following very closely your performance on Quasar. So also, Jennifer, I will give you some minutes to present yourself, to let the participant know more about you, and then we can start to have this discussion.
Okay, great. Thanks, Youssef. Thanks, Lina. It's good to be here. So my name's Jennifer. Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you. I'm also in California, and I live maybe, an hour from Lina, an hour by train, and probably 3 hours if you drive on a Friday afternoon because there's so much traffic. But yeah, as Youssef said, I'm one of the co-founders of Quasar. Before that, I worked at 42 in Silicon Valley and helped grow their campus. Fun fact, I helped develop the Agentic AI course or track in the Quasar platform, which I think has been one of the most interesting tracks we've built in a long time. But I run all of our marketing, sales, business, operations, anything that isn't technical, essentially at Quasar falls into my lap. So I have a pretty broad scope. It's a lot of fun, I think. Yeah. Anything else, Youssef?
No, thank you for the intro. So
good.
So the idea today, why we do this kind of webinar, is for us as a company called Web4Jobs. We do training for young Moroccan in many cities. So we have trainings in Dakhla, in Laayoune, in Tantan, in Guelmim. So currently the participants are from these cities, but we have also other centers in other Moroccan countries like Tinrir, Essaouira, Nador, and other cities. But the idea behind this webinar is for first people that are participating in JobInTech program. What is JobInTech program? Maybe to remind it very quickly. is a national initiative managed by Maroc Numeric Cluster and under the supervision of the Ministry of Transition, of Digital Transition. The idea is to train more than 50,000 people on the digital for the next 2 years in all over Morocco. So the question is why we want to train people. It's not necessary to work in the offshoring world or to do necessary to work in the big companies, but also is to provide a knowledge to what we call small and medium entities, les petites et moyennes entreprises, and they need people that are able to help them on their digital transformation. So Morocco is transforming from inside all their digital business, and they need people like you that are going to change the things. So this is the idea, and in order to show you that you can change in Morocco, but you can change from Morocco in all over the world, and that's why the experience of Lina, and we'll have the opportunity to have also other people coming from California explaining what they do. So why we select California? Because Quasar is a platform that is developed and it's based in California. So we do this link, and the idea is to create this webinar called Inside Silicon Valley. And the question, as you said, Lina, you decide to do coding, and as a new, for you, it was a new discipline, something new. You have already do your studies. You said you have done Al-Akhawain. And how was this experience? Because, okay, you explained the model. They said it's free, but you have to pay once you start working. So, for example, the JobInTech program is almost the same. It's free, but the only objective is to find a job. They don't have to pay us back because it's a national program. But in order to, if you can give some recommendation how to be successful in this kind of program. So this is my first question. And the second one, what are the mistakes that we should avoid during this kind of programs? The idea here behind that is you have done this kind of program, so you can share your experience and to let our participants know more about what are the key success factors that they should get from you.
Yeah. So I think the first recommendation I'd give is to find a structured course that you know works, and then start learning in this structured course. The reason I'm saying this is because there is just so much information on the internet that it's not to say that it's not valuable. It can be valuable, but it's so easy to get lost, and also it's so easy to get in to get so much focused on a small detail that doesn't matter it doesn't matter so much in the whole software engineering scheme that you're trying to learn. For me, for example, I chose a bootcamp called App Academy, and I found it was really a match with me because I learned a lot with visuals, and I learned a lot with small practice that comes a little bit after a small thing that has been learned theoretically. So I was watching a video for 3-4 minutes, and after it would end, I would immediately practice on that. And so I was sure that what I just learned is cemented. So I could go ahead and move forward because the first block, the first foundation has been built successfully. And also, don't be scared to make mistakes. You will make mistakes, and I have my fitness instructor that says failure is success. So if you fail, that's okay. It just opens a new door for you for, okay, what do you learn? What did you learn, and what can you do better in order to move forward? So being a beginner in something is not always fun. So you need to just be resilient. When I was in that bootcamp, I remember before every assessment, we were given a practice test, and in order to practice that assessment, and I would do it again and again and again until I'm able to have it, to first understand it really well, and also to be able to have a good pass, and in half the time the assessment should take. So repetition also can be key in when you are a beginner in something. Another recommendation I would give is don't isolate yourself. It can be really lonely when you learn a new field and you're not understanding anything, and you have each other. You are in a cursus all together. So just go ahead and like pair program together, ask questions to one another, and also, for example, when you encounter a bug, there is something that's called duck typing. You can either like explain it to a duck in order to like get out of the spider web of your coding and be able to resolve it, or you can, now that because you have each other, you can explain it to one another in order to have more clarity and be able to resolve your bug. So you have lots of teammates that are on the same path as you, and so take advantage of that. And one more thing on don't isolate yourself. Pair programming is really important during interviews. So the more you work with each other and practice by explaining a problem orally and try to explain your thought process and try to resolve it, it's like implicitly the more you are actually preparing for your interviews. Because when you start interviewing, they will ask you, okay, walk me through this problem. They won't even ask you, they would expect you to. They are actually not only testing your technical skills, but also testing your communication skills. So you will need to walk them through the problem to make sure you're understanding it completely. And as you are coding, you will need to explain how you are resolving your code. So that is also important. Don't isolate yourself, and also communicate with one another. One last thing is, I would say, trust yourself. I know it's a very general recommendation, but there can be a lot of imposter syndrome when you are learning software engineering. I had it myself because I was in a whole different field, and I came to the United States, new country, new field, new environment, and it was really tough for me. Just like you decided to learn software engineering or to expand your software engineering skills because there is something inside yourself that's pulled you to do it. So don't compare yourself to others. Trust what you're, even if you fail and others succeed, like trust your own process. It might take longer, but if there is that grain within you that pushed you to learn software engineering, stick to it. I also say this because this imposter syndrome can stay with you until even when you start working. For example, when I joined Cruise, I was in a team of Asians and Indians who just coded their whole life, and it was really difficult to have like different ideas and try and not just follow their own thinking process. If you get hired, and hopefully you get hired, you got hired for a reason. You didn't get hired because you're the same as everyone else. You were hired because you're bringing something new to the table that the team thinks you can help with. So don't shut your voice in order to be the same as your other teammates, but be your more authentic self. Like even if it's different, even if your ideas are different, you should push with your thoughts, because that's why they hired you for. Yeah, these are my recommendations.
Thank you very much, Lina. So if I take some insights, so select the right program. So currently, indeed, we propose different programs in Lyon, we have data scientist program, but also dev AI junior program. And in Dakhla, Gilmim and Tantan, it's more about front end. So this is the kind of program that we propose. And I like a lot about to be resilient and to accept the failure. In Morocco, we don't like to fail because Shuma, as we said. But indeed, we need to accept to fail, and it's not because you have already done your studies. You're coming from small cities. You can compete with people that are everywhere in the world. As you said, you are here to do a job. If you trust yourself, you can do this job. And I have maybe a question for you, Jennifer, is, with the platform, and what may be some tips that you can give to the participant in order to, as Lina said, do not isolate yourself, practice, work each other. So what are the tips on the platform that can be useful for the participant?
So this was very interesting. Like everything Lina was saying made me think like, oh, well, that's why we have, that's why we have exercises in the platform. I was like, oh, that's why we have role play interviews in the platform. I was like, oh, this is why we do coding collabs. So yeah, the preseason, which I think most of you guys have probably finished by now, it's exactly what Lina was talking about, right? There is something small that you're going to learn, and then you have to do it. Like you have to practice it, and then you move on. And there's a new thing. You got to learn it and do it, and then you move on. So I would say remember that, right? That what Lina's saying is when you learn something and then you practice it, you have to apply it. And then you have to practice and repeat it over again, right? Those are the exercises and the tracks. There's a reason that we make you do that. Is because it works, right? And the point is that you can become competent, that you gain the skills so that when you are in technical interviews, right, you can do it. When Lina was saying, okay, I took that practice test and I just did it over and over again so that I knew I could do it, and I could do it in half the time that was expected on the exam. That is building competency, right? You could probably do it in your sleep today, Lina, would be my guess. And the point is that when you get to the technical interview and when you're on the job, you have confidence in yourself that you know you can do it because you have done it not once, not twice, but multiple times, right? And you can do it quickly. And so that's the whole point, right? Everything on the platform is designed to help you develop the skills that you need to succeed in getting the job and to succeed on the job. So that's one thing I'd say. And the second thing is, to Lina's point again, she was saying, pair program, ask for help, ask other people, right? Like, if you're stuck on something for more than, 30 minutes, an hour, and you haven't made any progress, ask someone. And I think she's saying, we're not used to, we see that as failure, we're not used to asking for help. Well, this is the job, right? On the job, your manager will not be happy with you if you waste time when you could have asked your colleague who had the answer. And so it's part of learning to also, like, how do I learn to work as an engineer? How do I learn to work as a developer? And it's actually very collaborative, right? Like, Lina, I'm sure people ask you all day, well, maybe not all day, but, during the week, other people ask you questions and you ask them questions, and that's normal, right? That's what's expected on the job. That's just how it happens. And so I would encourage you guys to not be afraid to ask questions, right? Use other people help other people. And it actually, I think it builds like a good sense of community, right? That you are willing to help others and others are willing to help you. And that like, this is how humans learn together. It's been that way for, thousands of years. So that's what I'd say, Youssef.
Thank you, Jennifer. And my next question, sorry, is to say, okay, you have done this training, this boot camp, and now you go to do the interviews to try to get hired by companies. So how it works? You're a young Moroccan, have done just 4 months of coding. Why you are not an engineer? So how what they are looking for when they select people that have done, so you have a background, it's clear, but your coding experience was so small, so why you and not others, and during the interview, what the companies are expecting?
So first, let me talk a little bit about my experience with that. When I finished the boot camp, I didn't immediately start looking for jobs. There was an opportunity to teach in that boot camp, and I thought that it was a good opportunity for me to understand the projects, what I went through even better. And because there's also that saying that you don't understand it fully until you're able to explain it. And the fact that being an instructor meant staying in a room the whole day and having students ask questions and go in and trying to help them to unlock their project meant that I would be able to understand what I learned even better, and also resolve more swiftly bugs if I had these during an actual interview, and also practice even better my communication skills, because I was helping students with communication and I would also teach classes. So I really moved slowly. In my personal experience, I moved slowly to the job markets. I first started teaching, and then I kept teaching, but at the same time, I took a part-time job. I decided to work with another instructor, Stanford instructor, Moroccan, who was building an ed tech platform to give helpful terminal errors to students using AI. So he was taking the AI parts and I was taking the front-end parts. So I was working with him for a couple of months. And then I decided to start looking for jobs. And in my head, in my mind, my dream was to work at Google. So I kept that as a sun in front of me, and I was moving slowly in order to get there. Because Google and other big tech companies require you to be really strong in algorithms, and that wasn't my strength at the moment, I decided to move to a startup that was more project-based in terms of having the offer, and also that was a startup that was in the finance sector. So I thought, okay, if I want to move back to the job markets, I want to be in a field that I'm familiar with, which is finance, and then applying the software engineering skills. And it was a good nostalgia moment for me, because I was like transitioning from finance to software engineering, and now I'm in that place where I had a mix before I fully take the leap for the big tech companies. And so I worked there for 1.5 years, and at the end, I also took the structured approach to learn algorithms. I didn't want to do that by myself. LeetCode and other platforms were just too big for me, more than I don't know how many algorithms they offer, but it's more than 1,000, or I think even more. And it was just, I couldn't do that. For me, because doing lead code means doing a problem and then doing another problem randomly, and then you can really can have anything in the actual interview. So I wanted to have a more structured approach, and I wanted to learn more the patterns. Like, what are the patterns that you can use when you have an algorithm? And there aren't many. There's like recursion, dynamic programming, trees, graphs. Like, you have some general patterns that you can find once you zoom out all of the algorithms. And so that's where I stuck. I thought, okay, let me learn the patterns, and then once I have an algorithm, I know which pattern I can use in order to resolve that algorithm. And so I enrolled to a course to learn all of these patterns and to start implementing these algorithms. And then I started interviewing these big tech companies like Google, Amazon, Meta, and Bloomberg. And the way you want to structure your interviews is you start with the companies you don't really like plan B companies or plan C companies, and you do them all at once. And you know, like, so that you have all of your lessons and learnings and where you need to polish your knowledge more. And then you leave the last companies, your plan A companies, those you really want, at the end. Yeah, so that's what I did. Again, what they are asking for in the interviews is the algorithms. So know your algorithms. That's the first pass. If you don't know them, you won't be considered. So really, like, have a strong focus on that. And then your communication skills. Again, when you are solving an algorithm, don't just code and then stay silent. Walk them through the process, how you are thinking of first. Do you understand the problem? How you are thinking of resolving it, and then talk as you resolve, because they're not here to block you. They're here to help you out. They're giving you a fair problem. They want to see how you think, and they want to see how you collaborate once you start working with them. So it's all to your benefit to be able to communicate that with them. And one last thing is, please be familiar with time and space complexity. When you have an algorithm, they won't ask you at the end, but you need to tell them, okay, now that I resolved my algorithm, this is the space complexity I think this algorithm was resolved with, and this is the time complexity. Yeah, I think, yeah, and then of course, once you finish the technical parts, there is also the soft skills parts. So you're gonna come up with you want to also be strong in soft skills. They might ask you about your previous experience. They might ask you about, I don't know, how do you handle difficult projects with like people that you are not getting along with, or how do you if you get a really strong bug, how you are able to resolve it. And they really want to see, like, at the end of the day, they want to see how good of a teammate you are, how good of a colleague you are. Are you getting along, or is it or not? So keep that in mind when you start preparing for your interviews.
Thank you, Lina. So clearly you have defined a strategy to target the company. So finding a job is a job itself. So you have to have this strategy, and as you said, you started with the small companies that you don't really want to work with, but you learned. So this is very, very interesting, and I think that all the participants, so we are around 60 people connected right now, it can be interesting to ask yourself, if I want to work for a company, even in Morocco, whatever, in outside Morocco, what is your plan A? So you have maybe, how many companies you have in your plan A? 4 or 5 companies. You said this is my first target, huh? Is correct?
Yeah, I had the big companies at the end. I had Google, Amazon, Meta. I left them all at the end. And when I felt, because I knew they would wait, like they have always openings, and I wouldn't stress out if an interviewer will tell me, oh, now we want to hire in a month, or we want to hire in 2 months. Like, okay, I want to wait. I know I received this email. I'm going to wait until I feel ready. because once you pass it and then you fail it, it's just like no more emails for 6 months or a year until they reach back to you. So really use that door at the right moment.
So it's very insightful to have a strategy. And how many interviews you had? I say, how many companies you have interviewed with before to get your this job that you have currently?
I would say 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 or 8 before 8.
Okay. So, and maybe also here, Jennifer, we know that we prepare the candidate to the interview. So maybe some tips in order to prepare the interview. So Lina talked about the strategy to prepare, how to select the companies, to start with the plan C or B. So companies that are not the major one, but in order to train, to focus on the algorithms. So maybe also from your experience, in order to prepare a good interview, some tips, if you can share it with us.
Practice, 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 and practice.
So it's a lot of tips.
Yeah. I mean, so if we think about it, right? Being good at technical interviews is a collection of skills. There's problem-solving skills, there's technical comprehension skills, there's soft skills, right? To be able to think and talk at the same time is a skill. And so when you're in this program, right, the goal is that you get good at those skills. No human being that I have ever met is magically excellent at technical interviews, right? It doesn't happen. You get good by practicing. You get good by doing them. It's the same for, sports, music, like surgery. Like how do football players get good? They practice. How do musicians get good? They practice. Like how do you get good at technical interviews? You practice, right? It's not a secret. It's not, there's no magic formula. It's just repetition and practicing. So I think there's a couple things. You need to practice the technical part, which is what, Lina's saying is you need to be good at the data structures and algorithms. And you need to practice those before you start doing the interviews. Otherwise, there's no point in doing the interviews. You won't be able to actually do anything in the interviews. So you need to have your technical skills. And then the interviews that you need to practice, right? They need to be with another human being. Lead code does not count. That's not doing interviews. So you need to actually practice an interview with another human being. It needs to be under a time pressure, right? You can't have 2 hours to complete a technical interview because you will not get 2 hours in a real technical interview. Like you'll get sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes. If it's an advanced interview, maybe 60. That's it. And so you need to feel the pressure of time. Now, a lot of people, if you give them a question, they can answer it in 2 hours. But the challenge is not 2 hours. It's less than that. And so some people freak out. They're like, I don't know where I'm going. Like, time's ticking. And then they bomb the interview. They give up. So there's an element of the time pressure that you need to be okay with and you need to learn to deal with. And then to Lina's point, there's the talking. Right? You need to learn to communicate with the interviewer. And one of the ways we have you do that with the Quasar programs is you will interview other students. Like you will be the interviewer. You learn a lot from being in the interviewer position, not the person who is being interviewed. And so when you feel the frustration of, hey, I don't know what you're saying, I don't know what you're thinking, that's when you become a better interviewee, when you are doing the interview, because you know the frustration, you know what it's like to be in the other person's shoes. And Elena is saying, right, the point is that, they're not there to grill you. They want to know, are you someone that I can work with? Do you communicate? Can we collaborate? Can we solve a problem together? That's the point of the interview. And so you need to just practice talking with other people. But yet it just comes down to practice, Yusuf. That'd be my best advice.
It's clear. So practicing. So I have maybe a question coming from the participant, because when you talk about AI, Lina, you have activated the trigger, and some participant asking for a developer, what type of AI do you recommend? So it's a large question, but maybe from your experience.
Yeah, I noticed that AI changes a little bit the software engineering world. It's actually changing it, because now when I code, we have this extension that is called Cursor, where I can just send the prompts. I was asked it create this button for me, or create these multiple tabs that I can navigate through, and it will do it. Most of the time, I play the role of the reviewer. I'm no longer the main coder. So it's actually, if you look at it on the good side, because if you look at it on the good side, it's actually helping you focus on other areas, like collaboration with other team members, and also having a better product sense. Like when you have something that you are building mainly with AI, you it's no more about the code. Yes, the code is good, but it's also about, is this feature helpful for users? Am I making an impact? Are users going to use it a lot? And you start collaborating more with teams to be able to have pull out the features that users are asking about the most. So it's very different. We have an extension, the Cursor extension, for like 7 to 8 months now, and you definitely, as a software engineer, are coding a lot less. So you start to focus on other areas in order to remain in order to remain strong. Not as an engineer, but it's really different. Like I can't like lie about this. It's the word that is changing. Yeah, I don't know if you have Cursor as your extension, but if you activate it and you ask it to do things, it's going to do it for you. So it's less about coding.
And I think what is interesting on what you said is that you have a tool who's doing for you, but in the meantime, you supervising what he's doing for you. So
that's
you cannot use an AI if you don't understand the output. So it's important to be strong, to understand what it's doing, in order to be able to, because at the end you are the owner of the output. It's not the AI. AI is not responsible. AI is not paid for that. You are paid. So
yes, 100%. So yeah, a lot of times the output is completely disorganized. So you need to make sure that you need to tell it no. You need to like refactor the functions, make the functions dry. Also, you need to like move the architecture, because a lot of times the AI will have a narrow focus on the context, because the projects can be quite big. So you need to make sure that the architecture is maintained, like the components within the same folder with their tests, with their utils files and types and constants, and then another folder that has the organization. Yes, so you become a supervisor. You need to make sure that it remains organized, that there is no bugs, that there are no leaks, that the architecture remains well, and then you open the PR for review, and of course it's under your name.
Thank you, and maybe a last question first about this webinar is with the COVID, a lot of people have started to work remotely.
Yes.
Maybe some of our participants are more have done study remotely, not really working remotely. And is it something that is still existing in California? People are working on site or still working remotely? And
Yeah.
what are the best practice that you recommend when you work remotely?
So I've been remote since COVID times. Actually went to the office no more than 10 times in all of these years. Yeah, and it has its good side and it has also downsides. At the beginning, it's really easy to burn out because your office is your home, is your environment, and if you don't have discipline and structure, it's easy to have areas that leak within one another. So my first recommendation is to, most of the time at least, to have a place that you can associate with your office. You can just do it so. Like you can have like one room in your house. Okay, that is my office. And then of course you can remain flexible in other times. You can go like that's the good point. The good parts about it is you can work at a cafe or at a park or somewhere else. Like for example, GM offers us. So it's really can come with good advantages. Then the other part is also it's easy to get isolated. So you need to make more efforts to remain connected to your teammates during your stand-ups, during the or just scheduling one-on-ones with them, and of course with your camera on. Make sure that you really have that intention to remain connected with your teammates. The downside about it is that it's difficult. It's more difficult to, especially when you just start, it's more difficult to be fast about getting and asking for help. You can like send a Slack message and they might answer in 2 to 3 hours. And that means that you might need to be more independent in other ways. You need to learn to read documentations. You need to, there are some tools that are now in companies, like for example, Glean. You can ask questions to agents and agents have access to the documentation, to PowerPoints, to Slack conversations, and they are able to summarize this and help you out promptly. So that's like, you will need to be swift in these moments. You don't always wait for your teammates to answer, but you need to find these other avenues that you can empower yourself with. Yeah, personally, in my experience, it's really easy to burn out at the beginning, and especially when you start also building a family. In my personal experience, it's again very easy to have things leaks within another. So you need to bring more enforcement in terms of structure and discipline. Not to say that the previous word is better, it's not, because staying for 8 hours or 9 hours in an office can be really draining. But now that you have more flexibility and you have these bubbles of that you can create these bubbles of rest and self-care within your work, just make sure that you have a structure and a discipline that you can stick to. Because we're humans, and I think that our brains thrive for routines. So make sure that you have a routine that works for you.
I was managing a team of 300 people during the COVID, and it's clear that you have to have your habits and discipline. And I was always advising my team just in the morning when they wake up, just to change, not to stay with the pyjama, but to change, just to say, okay, like we are working, to prepare the environment, to take the coffee. This is key in order to make it successful. And one part of the training that currently our participants are doing is remotely. So even what Lina said, even when you do your training on Quasar platform, you have to have a discipline to say, okay, from 10 a.m. to 12, I do that in order to work on the platform, not to say, okay, I will do it when I will come back from all my activities, because you will not get focused so much.
Yeah,
and
you actually become your own manager.
Exactly.
It's funny.
And it becomes a quality, because previously people were used to receive only instructions. Wake up at 9, you have to be at the office, you have to do that. Now you have to just deliver. And if you can become good on delivering things, people don't care at what time you do it and whatever. This is the first thing. And the second, as you said, keep connected with the people that you work with. It's important to put your camera on. It's maybe a small detail, but it's very important. Thank you very much, Lina. We have some questions. I will try to ask. So there is questions about the interview. So maybe it's for Jennifer. They said, how can a candidate make a positive impression during a technical interview? To code only with the left hand, right hand.
Okay, I'm going to start with the basics, just so we're very clear. You turn up on time, if not early. Okay, you need to be well dressed, right? Do not turn up in pajamas. Do not turn up in a t-shirt, right? You are there to make a first impression. So you should look good. It means that you have, had a shower or done your hair, right? Like I have seen engineers that look like, their hair came out of a hurricane. And I'm like, no, that, not okay when you're going into an interview, because this is about first impressions. So that aside, two other things. If this is a virtual interview, you should be in a space where like you have your camera on and there's a good background. This background here is okay. Obviously, Youssef, Lina, great backgrounds. You ready for this? We're going to have a funny moment. This, that is not a good background. Do not see that in your interviews. So good audio, good video. Those are important, right? You should be in an environment that is not distracting. Okay. And I say that, right? I know that maybe some of you are at home and you have kids and families and maybe pets. This is an interview, right? No kids, no families, no pets, no interruptions. Like this is serious. So those are some basics, right? And I say that because you have to hit the basics. If you don't do that, you have a bad impression. So you're going to hit all of those. After that, I think it's a question of how you talk, how you present yourself. And I think having confidence, right? So I know Lina talked about imposter syndrome. I think for some of you, you're going to have to tell yourself in your own brain, the little voice that says like, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. You tell it to be quiet. Like you should have confidence that they have asked you to interview because they want you. They want to get to know you. Like you earned your spot in that interview. So have confidence in that. So I think that's one thing. I think it's also, you need to have researched the company. You need to have researched the person that you're interviewing as much as is possible so that that you can talk about your experiences, why you want to join the company, even if it's a technical interview, right? Like what kind of technology do they have? What's the language or the tech stack that you're expected to do? All that kind of stuff. So do your research. I think those would be for first impressions, at least, those would be my recommendations.
And thank you very much. And so there is I would say it's a large question, but we have a question from Zohair saying, what trends in AI do you think will shape the industry in the next 3 or 5 years? So if you have your crystal ball, can you try to give some insights or some trends that you currently maybe you are living, because we know that what you're living in California will take a few months to arrive to the other side. So maybe to tell us more what's going on with AI currently.
What I can say is agents is the way forward. You currently talk to agents to help you out in tasks, but in the future, we might be the ones building the agents. That's funny because that's what's currently is happening in my team. We are giving away our front-end tools, and we are currently focused on only building agents. Yeah, that's where the future is going. I think the fastest data we can bring to users, it's through agents. You don't have to build UIs as much as the data is here. You can talk to these agents and give them all of the data possible. Maybe give them API access, tables access, logs access, and then you start asking these agents questions, and then they pull out all of the data that they have access to, and then they give you answers. Yeah, we might need to learn about tweaking. How can the model that the agent is using be more performance based on user feedback? How can we make sure that the follow-up questions of agents can be more targeted for users to be able to know what's the best next step is. Yeah, I think it's agents. That's where we're going.
I think you're confirming, Jennifer. So,
yeah, Jennifer talked about an agent course. I'd love to take that because that's where my team is also going.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, so I will take two other questions, and then I think we'll do our 1 hour webinar, and I will try to find a cool question. There is a question about how to deal with programming failure and turn it into something positive. So I think you have spoke about it, Lina, in the beginning, but maybe to re-explain how you turn it positive.
Yes, so you turn it positive by trying to see what lessons is it trying to teach you. Now that you got a failure, I'm just going to think about a simple case. Let's say you are running your tests and your tests keep failing. So you need to say, okay, what are you doing wrong? What is the lesson you are trying to get out of it? So you start putting debuggers everywhere, try to find where your bug is, and then once you find it, how can you make sure that this bug doesn't come out again? So you either build stronger tests, for example, and also maybe a better architecture. For example, we have a case where at work where we work in the front end and an API changed in the back end, and it immediately impacted our front end. Because why? Because we didn't have test-driven design that would immediately pick up on API changes and will block release to the front end if there is an API that no longer matches what the front end is asking for. Every time you encounter a failure, ask yourself, okay, once you learn it, what can I do better next to not encounter this failure again? So this is in the software engineering world. And it applies in everything else evidently. Like if I fail at something that's just an obstacle for you, that you arrive to a ceiling, you arrive to a limit, you arrive to an obstacle, and that's you are able to jump to the next phase. So it's not okay. I failed. I'm going to stay at that obstacle. I'm going to just cry it out. Okay, you can cry it out, but then you get up and then you try and jump that obstacle. And after you jump that obstacle, that means that you are on the next phase. You can keep moving. You can again like you are at a further level. Yeah, that's what I have to say about it.
Thank you very much, Lina. It's very insightful. I will take a last question. The last one is about, so Zuhairi is asking a lot of questions. Good. From your experience, what is the best way to grow quickly in this field? So when it comes to what field? So there is AI field or the tech field globally? Let's say the tech field.
Okay, well, you think, Lina, I'm going to give a quick answer here.
Yeah.
I think about, so first of all, is the more time you put in, the more time you spend coding, the more you will learn. That's very simple. That is straight correlation. The second thing is I ask, what's the difference between a junior engineer, a senior engineer, a staff engineer, and a principal engineer? Part of it is experience, just pure, like the time spent in industry, the number of projects that they've seen, the number of industries, the number of problems, right? That just takes time. But there is also a concept of initiative, right? Initiative and ownership. The difference between the juniors, seniors, and staff tends to be the amount of initiative and ownership that they show in the projects they take on, their contribution to work, how they interact with other people, right? Ownership of errors, problems, that kind of stuff. That's partly what we see in the difference between juniors, seniors, and staff. So, you know, when you get hired, you need to think that and bear that in mind, is you want to show ownership and initiative. Like when somebody gives you something, when your manager gives you work to do, whatever, you go at it 100%, right? That's partly how people get certainly moved up. Lina, I'll go over to you as well.
I agree on the initiatives. You for sure have more initiatives. You have more ownership on the project, which means you might have more people, more engineers who are able to help you out to get to that finish line with projects. So a lot more guidance and like being able to know, okay, what the next more impactful task is to forward or to delegate to engineers is. But I would also add product sense, being able to communicate with your customers and know what they ask for most, and be able to decipher which patterns come back and say, okay, this is what we are going to prioritize, and this is what we are going to work on, because this is what will have the most impact. And once you land these features, being able to bring data that has impacts. How can you track how can you track how helpful that feature was? For example, in the front end, we can do like track user clicks, track how many users write in a specific search field, and which search fields search fields they are populating. And based on that, you can it can even help you get insights on, okay, what can we do next? How can we make this easier for users? Yeah, so that's the product sense is super important once you get there.
So thank you very much. Really, Lina, you are our first guest as a Moroccan living in California. Maybe if you can say some few words in Arabic or in French or whatever you want to make them that you're a real Moroccan.
نقول لكم داكشي بحر فريمون سوفتوير انجينيرين بحر وخاصكم تلقاو ديروا لي باغيير في البحر باش تقدروا تبراكتيسيو في هذيك لي باغيير، وفاش تبراكتيسيو بهذيك لي باغيير مورا حل لي باغيير غتكون كلشي بلو فاسيل، كلشي غير ساهل. شنو نقول لكم بالعربيه؟ مغربيه 100%.
thank you very much. And we started to talk with Jennifer and said, okay, if there is Moroccans living in California doing software engineering, and she met you, and you accept to share with us your experience. And we decide with the Quasar team to look to all the Moroccans living in California and to ask them 1 hour from their time to share their experience. So the next year, which is in few days, each month we'll try to have a guest, a Moroccan guest, that will share with us his experience in California. And maybe we'll talk a lot about AI, because a lot of people saying, okay, if there is AI, are we going to continue to exist? So you will talk with people that are very advanced in AI, and you will see that it's changing, and maybe you will be part of this changement. So thank you again, Lina. Thank you very much. And and thank you also, Jennifer, for your participation. So thank you, everyone. And I'm wishing you a good weekend, and a good weekend also for you, Lina.
Thank you. Thank you.
شكرا.
It was
مع
glad to be here.
السلامة. Bye bye.
Bye bye.